3. Do you know where, why, or what it is? A talk by Darfri John, aka Adidas Samraj, December the 25th, 1982, from the book God is Not a Gentleman, and I Am That One. He says, why is there something rather than nothing? Why is there anything? Where is anything? Where is it? What is it? A devotee says, I couldn't possibly answer. Adidar continues, I am not asking you for an answer. I am asking you to really consider this. There is no answer. All of our complication, all of our thinking is animated as if we have answered these questions. We act as if we have answered these questions, but we never answer these questions. We have never answered these questions, and yet we carry on in an ordinary fashion, living, acting, eating, shitting, sexing, as if we had already answered everything. Human beings have never answered anything ultimately. We have merely adapted to the ordinary facts of what appears to us. We have merely adapted to the ordinary facts of what appears to us. We have never understood these ordinary facts. We cannot account for these ordinary facts. We cannot account for the ordinary fact that we are here. We talk to one another, we think, we engage in functional relations of all kinds, as if we had answered the great questions. I am suggesting to you that we have never even asked the great questions. Therefore, these conventions of our relations with one another are just conventions. They are not the products of great wisdom. They are just conventions based on the facts of ordinary apparitions. Why then should we be so terribly bothered by our conventional mind, as if underneath it there were some great secret to be learned? There is no secret under it. There is no secret at all. You open your eyes. There are others. You talk. You have words. You engage in social activities. There is no great wisdom underneath it. Why should we imagine that merely because we think about our thinking, we are going to discover some great answer? There is no answer in our mind. Our mind is not based on any kind of question, not to mention an answer. The mind is merely an accommodation to the way things seem to be. There is no great answer in it. All that we are bothered by is this conventional apparition of things as they seem. The fact that you are you and we are we, and other people have other ideas about what they want to do at this moment. What the hell else is going on? Do we have to think that there is some kind of great thought underneath our thoughts? None of us have even had a great thought. Laughter. All we are involved in are conventions of experiencing and knowing based on what seems to be. That is it. We do not engage in these conventions because of some great absolute thought about reality. We engage in these conventions because of what seems to be. Thoughts are just our way of working out the conventions of our apparent associations. Reality is totally beyond thought. Reality has nothing to do with the conventions of our thinking. All the thinking that disturbs us is just a result of our application to this appearance, these conventions. We do not have to realize why anything is, what anything is, where anything is. Rather, we must go beyond thought. Thoughts have never accounted for those matters. Our thoughts only account for the mere appearance of everything. We did not begin to think because we realized where, why, or what anything is. We never thought about any of that. Thought has nothing to do with where, why, or what anything is. Thought has only to do with there is that. A devotee says, thought comes after the fact. Adida, yes, the fact. The fact is what we must find out about. Our thought has never accounted for the fact of where, why, or what anything is. Where, why, or what, for example, is arm. We cannot deal with that. Where, why, or what is that? Where is it? Why is it? What is it? Where is it? Why is it? To say my, me, right, arm, hand. Those are merely presumptions. Where, why, what? Do you know? Do you? Do you know where, why, or what that is? Shouting, do you or don't you? Devotee, yes, I do. Adida, well, let us know. Let us hear. Devotee, this is my right hand. It exists relative to my right arm, relative to the centre part of my body. It's on the right side. Adida, you are merely indulging yourself in the conventions of self-reference, based on things as they seem, not based on knowing where, why, or what anything is. The conventions of your thinking and doing are not based on knowing where, why, or what anything is. Your thinking is merely based on the facts of things, the appearance of things. Why could things could have appeared totally differently than this? Now they appear like this. Your thinking, however, has nothing to do with knowing where, why, or what that is. Does it? Does it? Devotee, no. Yes, wait, my thinking. Adida, it has nothing to do with knowing where, why, or what that is. Devotee, my thinking has everything to do with knowing. Adida, no, it does not. Consider it. Your thinking has to do with the fact that you perceive your hand, for example. Your thinking has nothing to do with where, why, or what your hand is. It has nothing to do with it. You have a conventional reference for your hand, but such conventions have nothing to do with knowing where, why, or what it is. They have only to do with the fact that it is. That anything is the basis of mind. Do you know what I mean? Our entire lives are based on the fact of what we perceive. Our lives are not in the slightest based on knowing where, why, or what anything is. Our lives are based on the fact of what appears to be and our functional relations to these things. This is what we make language. This is what we make language of, responses of, and mind of. We don't make language, responses, and mind of knowing where, why, or what anything is. Not anything. Not even your nose, so-called. You don't know where, why, or what this is, do you? Do you? Where is it? Why it is? What it is? Do you know this? A long pause. It is. That is the only goddamn thing you know. That is what your mind is made of, the isness of the appearance of it. Devotee, the only thing we know is that it does exist. It is there. Adya, exactly. Do not do a lot of thinking. I am asking you very specifically, pointing to an object he is holding in his hand. If you know where this is, Where is it? Devotee, yes. Where is it? Devotee, it's in your hand. Adida, yes, but that's a conventional reference. Where is my hand? Devotee, to Mama Sanctuary in Kauai. Adida, where's that? Where is anything? Do you have this information? You carry on every day very methodically, very knowingly, consciously as an individual being. But you do not know where anything is. Do you know where the earth is? Do you know where the sun is? Do you know where this galaxy is? Do you know where all the galaxies are? Do you know where the universe is? Do you know this? Well, so you see, your ordinary mind is not based on knowing that, is it? Devotee, my ordinary mind presumes to know that the earth is the third planet from the sun. Darfi John, these are conventional references based on the factual appearance of things. Do you know ultimately where anything is? Where is the entire universe? Where is it? Devotee, I have no idea. Adida, why is it? Do you know that? Devotee, no way. Adida, what is it? Do you know? Do you? Devotee, no. Adida, so you see, your mind is not based on any kind of ultimate knowledge at all. Not even a piece of ultimate knowledge is in your mind. Your mind is just based on the factuality of things. Devotee, the superficial appearance of things like, here is a blonde person sitting next to me. Adida, that's it. We call it blonde, but what is it? When did we start calling it blonde? Why would we call it blonde? It is just a convention, a communication, you see. What is blonde about that before you decided to call it blonde? Why do we do not know why it is, where it is, or what it is, only that it is. Thus, in our arrangements with one another, in making subtle distinctions about everything that appears to be, we decided to call this blonde. We could call it kaplach, laughter. We could call this gablas, and we would not be saying anything more about it than we do when calling this nose and this blonde. These are just conventions of speech, and our mind is merely a result of conventions of speech. Mind and speech are both based upon what seems to be. Speech is simply an expression of mind, you see, but our entire mind, all of our speech, and therefore everything we say, think, write, or communicate, is based upon what seems to be. It is not based on considering why, what, or where anything is. Anything. The mind is based on the most superficial acknowledgement of the factual, perceived existence of things. That is all your mind is. All of your abstract thoughts are merely a swoon upon that ordinary acknowledgement of the factual existence of things. It is not based on any profound knowledge of where, why, or what anything is. Shouting, anything whatsoever, anything. Is it? Is it? You didn't make any goddamn mind out of knowing where, why, or what anything is. You made mind out of acknowledging the fact that things are. That's all. Am I right or wrong? Devotee, right. I never really thought about it, Adida. We can go on being totally bothered by our minds, but what does it amount to? Mind is nothing. Mind is knowing you have a moustache, 2 arms, 2 legs. What is so profound about all of that? Do you understand me yet? Devotee, yes, I do, Master. Master Darfu John, This matter is a great consideration. I think that we should not be bothered by our minds, because our minds are just a convention, an ordinary arrangement whereby we deal with the fact that things seem to be. If you were to manipulate the organs of the brain a little bit, you would not even see this. You would not see anybody. Based on the current state of perception in this body-mind, which we all can agree is duplicated in each of our cases, we presume that we exist, and we make speech and thought and mind out of this acknowledgement. But we have never once considered or answered the question why, where, or what anything whatsoever is. Am I right or wrong? Therefore, mind is not a big problem. If you are disturbed by your mind, it is simply because you have many thoughts. But there is nothing profound about it. Mind is merely confused play upon what seems to be. You do not have to answer to your mind. There is no answer in your mind. You must stop thinking and just look and consider where, why, or what is anything whatsoever. This consideration is prior to mind, has nothing to do with mind, has nothing to do with what seems to be. Everything we do and think and talk is a convention that we build upon what seems to be. Where, why, and what anything is an entirely different matter. It is the great matter. Our complications of thought are just ordinary aberrations, built upon our most superficial acknowledgement that things exist. We are looking into our minds. We find great questions, but there are no great answers in our minds. You never made mind out of any great thing. We never made mind out of a great answer, nor to mention the fact that we never made mind out of a great question. Mind is an ordinary activity like digestion, breathing, the movement of blood. It is an ordinary activity. The great matter is where, why, and what anything is. Where is it? Why is it? What is it? Do you understand the force of my question? Devotees, yes. Adidar, our minds are not profound. Our minds are coinage, money, cash for living. They are conventions. Why should we get so deeply involved in the mind? The mind has no answers whatsoever. All the mind is equipped to do is tell you what to pay the taxi driver, what to eat for lunch, or the price of a cookie. Devotee, I have read the teaching and I know exactly, absolutely, that the ego does not exist. It is an activity. Alidar, that is too intellectual. We are talking about very basic things here. When we begin to investigate the I, we discover that this I is an activity of contraction, of self-reference, but that is very sophisticated, a very sophisticated kind of self-knowledge. I'm speaking of something much more basic. The fact that our mind, our thinking, our talk, our activities are merely conventions, not based on higher knowledge, but on the perception of what seems to be. All that the mind, the body, and the emotion is a reaction to an association with what seems to be conditioned by the nervous system in the brain. Thus, if you have complications in the mind, they are merely conventional complications. They are merely aggravations of this functional existing mechanism. There is no profundity in it, no profundity at all. If you are having problems, you are in disorder. That is all. That is all it is. There is nothing profound about it. Instead of merely dealing with the disorder of your personality, however, you are involved in a great quest, as if something deep in your being there were an original answer that you knew when you were a babe. And if you could locate it, all of your complications would disappear. Your complications are very ordinary. They are like the result of not putting the tinkered toys together right, not piling the blocks together right, not combing your hair properly. That is all. That is entirely all. Spiritual life is a matter of considering exactly the moment of existence, where it is, why it is, what it is, and ultimately, through spiritual baptism, what the substance of it is, what it is arising within, what it is a modification of. You do not realize this through thinking because your mind does not contain any answers, never had any answers, is not based on answers. This realization is a matter of relaxing body, emotion, and thought, and experiencing the transmission of that substance by grace. That is the significance of spiritual baptism. It has nothing to do with thinking. The only aspect of it that has to do with thinking is what we are doing right here, this exercise, considering my argument relative to these things. This is useful. The spiritual process, however, has nothing to do with these things. Once the spiritual process begins, you realize that there is all a lot of nonsense, that mind, thought, speech, and action are just conventions based on an acknowledgement that this or that is. When you realize there really are not any complications, then you stand without thought, without contractive emotion, without uptight body or uptight nervous system. You stand still, merely stand. Then you can experience the substance of my transmission. My transmission is a remarkable and paradoxical intervention into the domain of consciousness, and it affects your thought, affects your emotion, affects your body. That is spiritual life. Therefore, spiritual life has nothing to do with thinking about thought, thinking about emotion, thinking about the body, controlling yourself, manipulating yourself, believing anything on the basis of a thought or anything else. It has to do with simply understanding the futility and ordinariness of thought, emotion, and body, so that you stand still and can receive the blessing. The blessing is tangible and intangible. It is a paradox. You receive it only when you stand still. When you simply stand still, mind still, emotions still, body still, then you can receive my influence, my tangible blessing, the blessing that all adepts throughout all human time and beyond human time and throughout the universe have given. This blessing has been given by God-realized beings in countless numbers of forms, in countless numbers of worlds, in countless numbers of times. But it can be received only when the mechanics of personality are still, when you are not believing anything, before you think that you know where, why, or what anything is. Those who simply stand still on the basis of my argument are only still. They do not know anything. They are not feeling or reacting to anything. They are not contracting either physically or through the nervous system. They are still, standing with me. In that event, this miracle of transmission is felt by them. It is felt as something beyond the body, mind, and emotion. But it is also felt as something totally identical to oneself. It is a paradox. It is remarkable. It is a miracle. It begins a spiritual process which is beyond thought and reactive emotion and bodily reactivity. The spiritual process is a matter of submission to that paradox of reality. It is not that you have an answer. It is not that you know where, why, or what anything is. It is that you do not know where, why, or what anything is, and not knowing it, being merely still. You are in a position to receive this blessing, which is what is. It is where everything is. It is why everything is. You may understand it, you may know information about it eventually, but it simply is what is. You submit yourself to this stillness, this process voluntarily because it awakens love in you. To be still, you see, is to be merely submitted, to release yourself into that which comes upon you and invades your mind, your emotion, your body. Thus, without thinking, without even volunteering, you spontaneously, naturally love it, submit to it, as a woman does to her man, as a man does to his woman. It is a spontaneous gesture of submission that invades your life. It interferes with you when you are still, when there is no mind, emotion, or body to think about, to account for, to identify with. You become still through understanding, and this great force invades the circumstance of being. When it invades you and you recognize it, then you naturally, physically, emotionally, and mentally submit to it before you even think or react. A great bliss arises, a great knowledge without thought arises. It is a paradox, a great moment, a great wonder. It is a miracle. Then you practice the reception of this blessing for a time. It purifies your mind, emotion, and body, and there is less and less reaction to confront reality. The less reaction there is, the more there is simply that. This is why you move through the stages. You move through the stages of life because there is less and less, not because there is more and more. You have less and less mind, emotion, and body. You are more and more still, more and more receptive, more and more conductive, more and more sacrificed to that without knowing. As you practice this, a certain knowledge of wisdom arises, a certainty arises. The spiritual process begins when mind, emotion, and body are totally still, based on real understanding of the ordinariness, the conventionality, the superficiality of mind, emotion, and body. Ultimately, this becomes enlightenment, perfect realization of the status of being, the isness of what is, the where of what is, and finally, the why of what is. When you realize these three things, there is utter and absolute release without the slightest complication. It is a wonder, a beauty. It is bliss beyond description that egos cannot understand or acknowledge. If we could live as beings who really do not know where, why, or what anything is, we could begin this way of life. I've done it. If you could live without knowing where, why, or what anything is, and let your mind, your speech, and your actions simply be conventional representations of what seems to be, you would be a devotee at this moment. But you are complicated by your thinking, your speech, and your action. Your thinking, speech, and action are based on a great problem, a not know, in inverted commas, N-O-T-K-N-O-W. Relax your thought, relax your emotional reaction, relax your physical contraction. Know that you do not know where, why, or what anything is. Hear my argument and confront me. See me eye to eye. Sit with me, live with me, and sooner or later you are going to feel me invade your freckles. The short hairs on your shoulders are going to start tingling, and you are going to realize that a great deal of energy is around your body, pervading your brain and relaxing your thoughts and emotions beyond your intention. This is the beginning of spiritual life, only the beginning. You are only witnessing this appearance upon which you build thought, speech, and action. You merely witness it. What you call I is the body-mind. But you but you, in fact, are merely witnessing whatever is arising. Therefore, there is no I. These I's pass, these thoughts pass, these perceptions pass, these bodies pass, these emotions pass. No one, in fact, has ever existed, nor will anyone ever exist, nor does anyone exist now, therefore. There is only the Great One, modified as everything, expressed as the witness consciousness. It is the fundamental force of all beings. That is all you are. Whatever arises as a thought, as a perception, as speech, as action, is an observation. You are aware of it, are you not? You, as you are simply witnessing it. Investigate this one who is witnessing. That is the great discovery. There is no one. What you say you are, based on ordinary or conventional perception, you are not. You are witnessing that, and it will pass just as it has arisen. It will change. It will disappear. Remarkable, isn't it? Devotees, yes. To merely witness is in some sense depressing. We must go beyond that to investigate the witness, enter into the source of attention. We ordinarily only function as attention, and we arbitrarily identify with thoughts, perceptions, speech, action. We arbitrarily identify with these things, whereas we are only witnessing them. The spiritual process is simply a matter of entering into a most profound investigation of that witness. Ultimately, that witness is found to be the spirit current, that witness of consciousness, pure being. It is depressing to merely be the witness, standing back. To merely be the witness suppresses the personality, but it is also liberating. It is liberating to notice that you are merely witnessing what is thought, what is speech, and what is action. You cannot stop there, however. Having noticed that, investigate this witness. Let attention fall into this witness prior to the I. Perhaps you must go through the way of faith or the way of insight in order to release attention. But when attention and energy are free, fall back into that witness consciousness itself. Discover it, invade its territory. It is your own territory. It is your own territory. That is you. That is the way you have always been. The spiritual process, then, is a matter first of all of releasing energy and attention through the various exercises and disciplines I have considered with you, and then devoting energy and attention to the witness, to attention itself. Discover the source of attention. Where is it arising? In whom is it arising? This is a great yoga. You discover the one who is witnessing all this, who is all bliss, self-radiant being, all love, the great transfiguring power of being, a wonder, the miracle of existence. This is what we must discover. This is what I call you to discover this initially by releasing energy and attention through various disciplines, but then by devoting energy and attention to this discovery. Find the source from which attention is arising, from which thoughts are arising, from which speech is arising, from which perception of the body consciousness is arising. In whom is that arising? Is that witness? In that witness? What is the state of that witness that you are? This discovery is a matter of practice. It is a matter of tapas, discipline, founded in self-understanding. Tapas means austerity, the heat or fire of spiritual discipline. I am here to confess to you that that witness is all bliss, self-radiant, love, being, absolute consciousness, that out of which everything is made. That one appears to be limited as what is made, and to suffer egoity, the self-contraction, the separated self-perception. But when you discover that substance in which everything is arising, out of which everything is made, it is found to be love bliss, pure being, consciousness, without the slightest limit, the wonder of God, God itself. What beauty, what a miracle is that out of which everything is made. This is the discovery of enlightenment. This is what I confess to you. Now you discover it based on my argument and my blessing. Da.